All right. Here we go, folks, on this rainy Monday, although the rain has now stopped. Yes. Where am I? There we go. All right. There's Janet Dwyer. Good afternoon, one and all. Folks, it will be drying out today. We'll be starting in just a couple moments. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, we're going to be. Hi there, Bill. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Excuse me. Trying to figure out. I believe our sound should be fine.
Okay, we're going to be.
And it is on both X and YouTube. um, let me double check this, and we should be good to go.
Winter will descend.
No, I don't want that. I do want this. Okay. Roger says the sound is good. Okay. Excellent. Been a busy morning, even though with all the rain. Hi there, Jess. What does that mean? You mean new as in KNEW? I'm so glad you knew Karen was found not guilty. That is true. I've never denied she was not found not guilty. So I don't know exactly what that means. There's someone who cannot spell. New is KNEW. KNEW. There's Henry B. I don't listen. I'm a little bit of a grammar snob. If you can't spell basic words, really not interested. Yeah, it does something high back. All right, we're gonna start in just a moment, folks. Again, really remarkable. The Warwick Police, the heroes of the Warwick Police. That is just spectacular. And we have the video up on our website, depetro.com. How about that, Jess? You know, you can always tell the Karen Reed crowd. Another person maybe shouldn't have dropped out in the 8th grade. Just saying. That's all I am suggesting. Why not at least make it to 9th grade? Just to see if there's something that you haven't learned. Yes, we're going to begin. Folks, again, on this rainy Monday, I want to call out what a fantastic job by the Warwick Police. They are the heroes. We have the body cam footage. We've learned more about that, but I want to just start off and remind people that right now we are live on AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Now, you can always listen online at our website, which is petro.com, live on Facebook. We are live on X, and we are live on YouTube. This portion of the program is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. All right, so we got the rain out of the way. Rest of the week, I believe, should be promising. Folks, stop in. This is, with all this rain, remember, it's a great time to do your planting. PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, where they have fall decorations, pumpkins, straw bales, corn stalks, gourds, Indian corn, native vegetables. This is the ideal time for planting. Stop in and see them. They're open, 7 days a week. 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. And I direct people they do a great job with theirs simply because they constantly update it and they put a lot into it. And what I like is they're able to, demonstrate and show many of the great things that they have. Stop it and see them at PR Landscape and Gardens. So let's remove that. Why does that stick like that? Barry, we got to get that fixed. Then I don't know why that sticks like that. Who knows? All right, let's move on to the main event. Now, on the website, dpetro.com, we have a lot. That was really fantastic. I mean, that is without question. This is a rough day for all the defund the police crap. All the people that were marching on Saturday. It's a tough day for them when then we see, that Saturday crowd of people that, as I've said, I'm going to touch on it in a moment, but check out depetro.com. We have the latest on the Ponaanset teacher. I'm going to talk about that, or former teacher now. I like these people. She no longer teaches. Yeah, we know that, but the investigation is about when she was there. So, I would chill out on, we're aware of that. She is no longer, okay. No one said she's in the gym or wherever she's conducting these classes. But we have that. We have the body cam of these Warwick heroes, and they are heroes. That's what it's all about. It's on the website, depetro.com, which is brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner. Whoa, yes, drinks in the lounge. Excuse me, and they're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. Now, I want to do. Why is this thing sticking? Okay, there we go. Let me do one more, and then we'll just have some clear sailing here. We have some good updates on the website, folks. I encourage you to visit the website. And I just want to mention, it's totally fine. I'm constantly evaluating in the age, 26 years ago. Now, if I were going to launch, I probably wouldn't do it, but we have it. And hey, it was leading the way with the Ponaanset story and others. And it has to all of our social media. And if you would to reach, you can get contact. We also have an updated bio. Not a lot of people do, but they're brought to you by the Coesit Inn. But remember Propane Plus. Propane Plus for all your heating and cooling. With all this talk about having wind and windmills, I'll tell you a better source is propane. Propane it's actually energy for everyone. Propane and Propane Plus, propaneplus.com. It's affordable, it's sustainable, it's equitable, it's good for the environment, lowest carbon fuel, and it's renewable. Contact Propane Plus online. That's what you're going to see. Heating or cooling, residential or commercial, you can depend on Propane Plus. Now, I'm going to refer to the website, depetro.com. I'm going to start with, let me also just mention this. As of right now, from what we understand, there's some kind of an altercation going on at Foxwoods. It's inside. Foxwoods is a large property. They have evacuated some floors. There was some interaction with a male and female. Female went to leave. Male said, "You're not leaving," has a weapon, and I believe that's where we stand. Contemplated coverage on it, but it was raining sideways. It's one thing if someone's in a house, then you can be on the street. It's very difficult. Foxwoods is also on private property. So I can't just go strolling around. I run into this. People say, "Oh, you should cover the fights at Twin River." You can't get on Twin River. That's private property. There is a difference. So I'll see how that develops. It's possible we take a trip down to Foxwoods. But I don't know if there'd be much to see. But that's what's going on. And that's why when you hear hostage, wouldn't allow someone to leave, has a handgun, a hotel. I don't know how that's going to go, but I'm not sure what we would be able to actually see. The coverage I've seen, the media is at a great distance. Huge difference between that and, as I said, if there's something in a house or on the street, You kind of see it a little bit better, or even in like a store, something of that nature. Whatever floor at Foxwoods, a little more challenging. But I'm going to start. I want to give you the latest on Ponaanset because obviously, we were so far ahead on the story. I like at the end of last week, you had local media, breaking news, Channel 10 and Channel 12. State police are investigating a gym teacher at Ponaanset. If you log on to DePietro.com, of which I was just on, but we broke the story literally 2 weeks ago, Monday, October 6th, 2 weeks ago. And then at the end of last week, local media was saying, breaking news, police are investigating this gym teacher at Ponaanset. But there are some developments with it. And I'm going to refer right to DePietro.com. And I will be sensitive of language. Ponaanset teacher admits kissing student but denies sex. We're the only ones that have the infamous prom photo that they're basically matching. We kind of blacked out the face of the student. But anyhow, gym teacher at Ponaanset High School has denied sex with a student, but admitted to state police that she made out with him in his car near her house. So what we have learned, and this is new, what we have learned is with the state police, I can actually put up her photo, Alicia Crins, who was the gym teacher. So also as we talked about, the student in question did file a report with the state police, which triggered the investigation. So, and I'm stand by our initial reporting, which has proven to be accurate, and that is that the student's significant or current girlfriend was the one that went to police, or discovered, I should say, an iPad. And I don't want to jump ahead, but let me just get through what we have on the website, DePietro.com. So she claims that she admitted to some inappropriate texting. And her version is, okay, when he was a junior in high school, he came over to her house. They were on a side street near her house in Cranston, and then she kissed him in the car. So the student told police that she would send him, I believe when he was a junior at Ponaanset High School, pictures of her in lingerie. The student claims she began texting him when he was a sophomore. Now, a couple things came out with this. According to the state police complaint, that the student claims he was over there more than once. And when she was over at the house, her house, but on a side street near her house, I have no idea day or night, but let's say nighttime. I don't know though, but anyhow, he claims they got into the back seat of his vehicle, and she basically mounted him, and he claims engaged in sexual contact with him. Now, what does that mean? It could mean, and I want to be very careful here because it is a sensitive story. We have parents that round and listen with their children, but let's just say it could be that possibly he released fluid, so to speak, or semen, whatever you want to call it, whatever was going on in the back seat. So When he was 17, she'd send photos of her in lingerie. When he turned 18, she started sending nude photos and videos. The two planned to have relations when he turned 18, but both claim that they never actually penetration. But the investigation is ongoing. So she has not yet been charged with a crime. Now, here's what we also want to know. I want to just jump in here. I don't know what that means, but I don't know what that means. But anyhow, let me just stay on track here. So what we have right now, and this is something that we talked about with our excuse me, legal expert, attorney Stephanie Murphy. And that is now the gym teacher. Is she embarrassed? Absolutely. Is she humiliated? We believe so. This is, this would, I would say it would fit the category of public humiliation. She at one point said, she told police, she told them, we can't do this. You're a student and I'm married. But she did invite him over to the house and then said, I can't believe I'm going to do this. But then proceeded to, she said he claimed kissed her for 15 minutes. So it sounds like, again, I don't think it's crude to say they were making out and so forth. But it sounds like there was some touching going on. Yes, Chuck has it right. So, but this is the part. Now, she certainly potentially has some problems on the marital front. That's private. She's no longer teaching there. She is no longer teaching at Ponaanset High School. But the question is, several questions actually. There are people at the school, parents and students, that claim that there were students that were making claims. So now to discuss and look at the possible option that were really other male students, or were this just young males being young males? And as soon as heard that that there were allegations about her and so forth, that then someone else, meaning just the other kids, said, oh, blah, 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 that type of thing. I don't know. Let me get that. Okay. So there's Alicia. So, but my point is, what the state police need to determine, that's right, Denise Oliver, what the state police need to determine. So it is true there was communication when he was a sophomore. And that would, I would imagine, I think, make him 15. However, what's the penalty? I don't know. I've heard with state police, this is what I heard from, without divulging who, but a member of state police told me there doesn't seem to really be an appetite to bring legal charges against this former gym teacher. It would have to be, something that is impossible to avoid. That's what I've been told. But is it possible that she somehow broke the law by sending him pictures or videos of her in lingerie when he was a junior in high school? I don't know. Okay, let's just, for the sake of clarity, and again, we're talking about the Ponaanset former gym teacher. We do have the update up on DePietro.com, but let's say he's 16 years old. He's a junior. She invites him over to her house, and they begin to kiss, and there's something happens in the backseat of the car that he, completion, so to speak. So now, as a teacher, obviously you could see where Ponaanset has a problem with it. Obviously, Ponaanset High School, I would imagine, would have a problem with it. She was married. I would imagine, on the spousal front, one would think that maybe that's problematic. Maybe his parents not thrilled about it. Maybe he was. I don't know. But anyhow, the point is, just if that scene is accurate, that is not criminal. I know that may surprise some people. You could say you can't have a teacher doing that. I don't think anyone's going to fight that or disagree with that. But it is very possible that, although embarrassing in all these allegations, I wonder if when they bring in some of these kids from the school, if they are questioning, so and so, he claimed something happened between him and the gym teacher. It's very possible that it was just talk, that it was just, a young guy being a young guy. And maybe, I that part we don't know. But I think it's interesting. What should come as a big takeaway was, and it could help her, and that is that there seemingly was talk of waiting till he was 18. And then, seemingly nothing happened. And if that's true, again, I know that I received a message from someone saying, I can't, are you trying to say what she did wasn't right? No one is saying I didn't say that. I didn't say that what she did, no one's saying that she didn't do anything wrong. What we're saying is that it's very possible, as we explained with our legal expert, attorney Stephanie Murphy, it's possible that it wasn't criminal. So that's the difference. So it doesn't mean she resigned. She resigned. She's not fighting to get her job back. It sounds like her account of things is somewhat different than the student. I don't know about what would be the law. He's 18 years old, and she sends him some pictures and videos of her, and she's not clothed. What is that? He's now 18. Is that against the law? I mean, we know that I know Rhode Island was trying to change the law regarding teachers and students, but I believe it seemed to be more in the category of if it was non-consensual, excuse me. For instance, to be fair, it's not as if this happened and then the student told his family and contacted the authorities. That certainly didn't happen. So for all of the talk, and again, I have no idea. I saw that one of the media outlets said they keep reaching out and she's not responding, that type of thing. We don't know. I think in we had with her, because one of the things that we talked about was it's very possible that if in fact here's what I was trying to convey to someone who emailed me or messaged me, I should say. When we're not saying it's inappropriate. We're not saying it. No one said a teacher should be doing that. Well, our discussion was, is there an element of criminal? Will she be charged with a crime? That's what is at stake regarding the teacher in Ponaanset. And based on what we have, unless something changes, and again, police have confirmed the investigation, but police have not fully got into with exactly what evidence they have, other than everything that we basically laid out which, as I think of it, there were people that when we broke the story, as I just think of it, who were saying, this is not true. I think you made this as if we made it up. It's just moronic. But you can't control, you can't control who comments, you can't control who follows you and so forth. But we do have an update on Ponaanset. There's a discrepancy here. The teacher, Alicia Crins, she doesn't apparently admitted to the police that she kissed him, admitted she sent some text messages that I guess were flirty or inappropriate, and there was and then I think the videos changed when he turned 18. That could actually, I think, benefit her, believe it or not, because then it could show that she was willing to go a certain way, but then withheld because of the age situation, that he was 18 and then still a student. But that now, let's see. I don't know how long this is going to take. We don't. This will be ongoing. So I don't know if anyone else is going to emerge. We've had parents, students saying there were other kids as well, but so far we have not heard from the state police that there's any other investigation than with the student involved. So now I want to touch on the No Kings protest from the weekend. And I also want to highlight that was fantastic with the work police. I want to highlight that. But folks, I want to remind you about Kids Club on the Pike. Kids Club on the Pike, birthday party venue, before and after care, preschool, Kids Club on the Pike. They can do it all. Now remember, if you're a child or grandchild, if you're looking for options for before or after school care, transportation, school age 12, school, half and full day program, preschool 3 through 5. Contact Kids Club on the Bike. Call them 401-443-5336, located right on Plainfield Pike on the Cranston-Johnson line. It's Kids Club on the Pike. And let me also remind you, did get an email from Tim asking me who is it that could epoxy his garage. You want to contact Corey at Quality Asphalt Seal Coating, 401-283-9815, 401-283-9815. They will epoxy garage, patio, decorative concrete flooring, sport court, resurfacing, pickleball, tennis, Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Call them 401-283-9815. And I have an image for that. Was one of the teachers. Well, there's certain, and I also want to use this opportunity on the Ponaanset to just remind people, if you're one of our subscribers or you're one of the supporters or you're one of the people that follow our work, I want to then echo that the story was right. As much as, and I will never understand, there were some people that they run what I would call kind of passive aggressive or cover, or some of the reactions on social media, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but had people that were basically saying, for whatever reason, I mean, who knows? You can, like I said, you can't control who follows you. I mean, if I could, I would say if you want to be a follower, you got to take an IQ test. There's no really way to set that up. So you can't weed out some of the low IQ individuals that sometimes stumble onto your stuff, and also the huge number. I mean, we're getting close to 400,000 followers with social media, but we had people like, I don't believe it. Some woman, well, if you say that she's no longer teaching there and the state police are involved, if that's not true, I hope she sues you. Well, she's no longer teaching there and the state police are involved. So, but anyhow, I think it should reaffirm for a lot of people that we broke the story, and the story is essentially exactly what we had laid it out to be. And now it will die down, and now we'll see where it goes. All right, but call Corey, 283-9815. Now, I want to touch on, I would like to this, just very briefly, on this situation with the Kings protest, because I think there's some different dynamics with what we saw over the course of the weekend. And I want to emphasize, you know, no one said that these people can't do it. So I don't understand a lot of the comments of, I see people exercising their freedom of speech. Well, no one said that they can't. I certainly didn't say, I never said these people, this should not be allowed. No one said that. I think the question just becomes what exactly was accomplished by all of this. I'm hearing from people who attend. I do. I communicate different, and some of the people that I know that I disagree with, but I was hearing from people that they were put off by a lot of it was like a circus show. And also, I just don't think our local media covered enough how much they were, and it's kind of crowded. What were there people protesting on behalf of Israel and protesting on behalf of Hamas? And it just seemed to run the gamut. And then it turns into, trans lives matter and men should be able to play women's sports. So as I mentioned, what I really don't understand is this business of like people that had signs has to go. If he should, today he should have been resigning. Listen, less than a year ago, let me be very clear, because there's a lot of play. I hear from people that say, I don't like how your program has, or your page or whatever has become political. Well, when you have people that are condemning ICE and condemning the police, that comes under public safety. When you have people that hold office and they're elected officials and they're condemning ICE agents, or they want an open border, that falls under crime in my mind. But I have no sympathy. Those people that were out there over the weekend with no kings, it's a joke. It was less than a year ago. You know what? Those people that were protesting or marching around or whatever they were doing, and I don't care how many there were, they have no one to blame but themselves. This crowd, it was less than a year ago, there was a national election. This crowd, they were supporting Biden, even though now everything that has come out that showed he wasn't capable to be president. And these people were pushing for him to get 4 more years. And then what happened when he dropped out? All these no protesters, what happened when he dropped out? He was forced out of the race after he was exposed in that June debate. Did they have a primary? No. Did they say, let's see who's going to emerge? No. They anointed someone. And they anointed someone who was not qualified with Harris. And she ran a terrible campaign and blew through $1.5 billion. The people that were out on Saturday, and they were all over the state and all over the country with the no king, but to me, that is the ultimate sour grapes. Like I said, do you want some cheese with that wine? And I mean WHINE. What a bunch of crybabies. What a bunch of look at that is the epitome right now of the Democrat Party and the progressives. If they don't everything's fine as long as they get their way. They have no interest in compromising. They were the ones behind Biden. They were the ones that then sat by as Harris was picked with no primary. They could have had a short primary. They could have gone to the convention. They could have had whoever wants to get up on stage, give a speech, and then select their candidate. They could have done that. They didn't do that. They announced she was the candidate. And by the way, in 2020, most Democrats wanted Bernie Sanders. And what did the Democrat Party do? Oh, no. Biden's the nominee. In 2016, Bernie Sanders won Rhode Island. He won a lot of states. But what did the Democrat Party say? Oh, no, Hillary's the nominee. So the people on Saturday, that's why I was putting it's beyond embarrassing to me. If you attended, or the people that did attend, I think pick. And I get messages from, you don't like the truth. You don't want to hear. It's not, I don't like the truth, or I don't like to hear opposing views. I don't respect anyone that went. They are the ultimate crybabies. They're the ultimate, if the game is not going their way, they want to rig the game. Do you remember you growing up? There's a kid, sometimes some people, the one kid has the basketball court, or just it's his basketball. And if you don't play by his rules, what does he do? He takes his ball and he goes home. So that's who they are. And that's what I mean. I think it was absolutely appalling how Congressman Gabe Amo and Magazine are well with that crowd. And some of the hateful things said about Charlie Kirk, and just the way they talk about the president. They're just, I look at the people that went as, they're beyond hagbags. They're just, you're a bunch of loudmouth stooges that are complaining, and they think the game should be rigged so they win every time. They're not patriots. They're exercising their First Amendment right. They are just a group of people that are just so appalling. I can't it's, I know now I'm like, I should have wore a disguise and gone and covered it. But they're just pathetic. They are just, if you're one of those people that went and Trump has to go. We just had an election. He's not going anywhere. They're just impossible. And Magaziner and Gabe Amo using it as an opportunity to campaign. We don't, in Massachusetts, Mayor Wu, how can you imagine living in the city of Boston? Mayor Wu speaks at the rally. They're so unlikable, and they're just impossible. They're not reasonable individuals. And all the get-ups and costumes, I don't get it. I don't find it entertaining. They're just, they're impossible to like. They're just so loathsome. There's just no end to it. And what did they think was going to happen? Trump must go. Listen, we had decided Biden couldn't do a press conference. Biden couldn't do an interview. But he was still the president of the United States. There was an election in 2020. We can argue if that was accurate enough. But as much as I complain about Governor McKee, I don't say he's got to go. Tragically, he's going to be the governor for the next at least year, if not 4 more after that. They're just impossible. I didn't see anything in the news of those protests. They are cringy. I didn't see anything that would lead me to believe, Mayor's wrong about that crowd. Here's what we know. There was a ceasefire. Granted, listen, the Middle East difficult? Israel and Hamas. There were people supporting Hamas at the No Kings rally. You know what I can't stand about that crowd? And the same thing with the anti-ICE. When I post, I see comments. People get upset that I post support for ICE. I'm going to post later, by the way. I have the body cam video of when ICE removed that. He's a South American gang leader. Or not, I don't know, gang leader, but gang member, excuse me. And he was dealing fentanyl in Providence, killing how many people? And he had, they were looking for him. He left the country, snuck back into the country in Providence. Somebody rats him out. ICE knows where he is. And so ICE goes to get him. And this is the guy they were chasing. Boy, I'll say one thing about the ICE drivers. They definitely need some driving lessons with the crashes, but they're certainly not equipped for that. But anyhow, the Providence police stepped in because it was going to be a mob. And the language some of these people used towards the Providence police. Now, one elected official condemned it. So, and all you heard and you continue to hear is ICE is not going to cooperate, meaning we're not going to cooperate with ICE, and they're disrupting. And I don't relate to the comments of people that, and I got a lot of it last week of these people. Oh, they're disruptive, and they point to there was a 5-year-old in zip ties in Chicago, and all I comment back is, where did that happen here? They're taking old people out of nursing homes. They're ripping kids out of school. None of that is true. If you want to get down the path of generalizing, well, then every illegal alien should be is basically akin to the illegal that murdered that girl that went out for a college run in Athens, Georgia. I mean, I'm not generalizing. You can't point to one instance where ICE went into a school, nursing home. They ripping families apart. They have 5-year-olds in zip ties. They're taking old people out of nursing homes. None of that is true. And I notice it's, because I see the feedback. Oh, you're a bigot. You're a racist if you support it. Like, it's so ridiculous. But the people that were standing there on Saturday, you had people like that David Morales running for mayor of Providence, Aaron Mack, and others. I will not be welcome here. Who are they removing? They're removing people that, and it's not complicated. And I think our local media, I believe, have failed to explain it to people. So if you have a regular person, I've given this example. You have Joe Smith from Woonsocket, and he skips his court date. What does that mean? Now there's a bench warrant. Now there's a warrant for his arrest. And many times when people get pulled over or they run or whatever, what happened is because they have outstanding warrants. I've had people guess in radio studio where they didn't want to go on camera because they wanted for warrants. But anyhow, so they say Joe Smith of Woonsocket skipped out on the bail. So then what happens? Woonsocket police have to locate him. They say he grew up in this house. Then we know he was living in this apartment. His parents live there. And then they do. It's not complicated. When you have someone from South America and they come into Rhode Island from Guatemala or from Colombia or El Salvador, and they commit a crime in Providence, and then they let them go. And then they never show up for court. They have no idea where they are. They're tough to track down. Are they in New York? Are they in Providence? Did they go back to El Salvador? Did they go back to Guatemala? Did they leave and then sneak back into the country? It is needle in a haystack. It's not easy to find sometimes people that grew up in Rhode Island and Massachusetts that they're looking for, let alone someone that has no footprint. So it's really simple. You got to have a system of how you can track these people down. And what I don't understand is, let's just say David Morales of Providence. He's running for mayor of Providence. He's wanted by police. If he was wanted by police. If he skips his court date, okay, he lived here, then he lived there, and maybe his family lives there. They have some footprint to go after, maybe he worked here. They're going to try to track him down. With these individuals, they could be anywhere. How is that fair? So what do the ICE agents do? That guy, Ivan, the gang member from El Salvador, who was pumping out fentanyl in Providence. Why should he be here? Why are they fighting for him? They never answer that question. I think a lot of that crowd, they're clearly uneducated. They get so vicious. And a lot of the people, they're Americans, but they go against anything that you may say when it comes to, like, I don't understand that in any way. I don't. So I'm going to talk about the Warwick officers in just a moment. But hey, with all this rain, if you have some rain, if you had some flooding, contact Serve Pro or Prince. Could be 401-5500, 401-5500. Serve Pro of Providence. From water damage, fire, smoke damage, you can depend on Serve Pro of Providence. They're fast, thorough, professional. 401-941-5500. Serve Pro of Providence. I want to talk about the fantastic job have this website. Now, we were the first one on scene on Saturday night. And it's even more heroic than we realized. And I have encouraged the Warwick Police Chief, that I should have a ceremony. And that's why I have a terrible, tremendous disdain for individuals that go along with or support the police movement. Many of the people, by the way, that are anti-ICE, they're so anti-military. They are anti-law enforcement, law enforcement, excuse me. So, but if you check out DePietro.com, Saturday night, because people will ask me. I have people like, whoa, I can't stand the whole term bootlicker and that type of thing. Or he's a cop. I'm not a cop wannabe. It's good content. It's live content. It's local live content that I own. And there's an unknown. And Saturday night, thanks to David Sammartino, we were the first by. I was alone there for at least a half hour before channel 10 showed up second, and then channel 12 showed up third. Channel 6 never showed up. There was no print or anything like that. But so Saturday night at 7:17, officers Matthew Maloney, Nicholas and Will Niley were dispatched to 376 Arnold Nick Road. That's right near the Crow's Nest, right near Ladybug. Report of a vehicle submerged in the water. Now, I have some police body cam plus our video up on DePietro.com for those that want to see it. I have people that say, well, I don't have a social media account. Listen, you don't need one on YouTube. So a report of a vehicle submerged. Upon arrival, officers observed a vehicle approximately 100 feet from shore with only the roof visible above the waterline. Witnesses on scene told police they observed a subject in the driver's seat prior to the vehicle sinking. Without hesitation, officers Maloney, Monacchio, and Niley entered the water to attempt a rescue. The water was dark, it's muddy. They could not see into the vehicle. After blindly searching the interior of the vehicle, they located the sole occupant, 71-year-old David White, inside the fully submerged vehicle. The officers successfully removed David back to shore with him. Fire department arrived on scene and immediately initiated life-saving measures. Davis was transported to Kent. He remains critical condition. Warwick Police Department commends officers Maloney, Monacchio, and Niley for their bravery, quick thinking, heroic actions, risking their own safety to save a life under challenging conditions. Their actions and dedication to public safety exemplify the highest standards of service. That is one of those things you never hear anyone come out. And that's where I'm different that's where I believe, you never hear Governor McKee commend the police. A problem I have with the Democrat Party as a whole, and specifically the Rhode Island Democrat Party, think of that. All of the people that are anti-police, you'll never hear them say or commend them for a job well done. That was not easy. There was no hesitation. Now, that man submerged in the car, 71 years old. I think there should be, at this point, that's not the first time a car went in the water there. I'm not exact. We don't know what happened. He could have had a medical episode. He could have been overserved. He could have been impaired. Maybe, maybe not. But I don't understand why. I think we learned on Saturday night why there are no guardrails there. But that should stand out to people. For all of the police don't get enough credit for something like that. The three of them, they didn't hesitate. There's the car, and it's fully submerged. They're not in a wetsuit. Of course, the water had to be freezing. That is truly every second counts. And this is credit to the Warwick Police Department, to those three officers. It wasn't like one went in and the other two stayed. All three went in. When they went to that call, no one told them, all right, a little bit caught in the water, so be ready. That happened like that. And they jumped in and were able to get that man out of the vehicle. And it sure sounds that that is someone trapped. And that is one of those things. So for all these people, and I can't say them admittedly, that are rotten to police and cruel to police, hey, that is what it, in a moment like that. And that's why like this New York election is so frightening with the socialist Mondami that's in the lead right now. I know Curtis Sliwa. I have no idea why he's not pulling out of the race. You need a two-person race. You need to at least give Cuomo a shot. Can't have the votes split. All of these people, and you're seeing it in Providence, that David Morales and all the progressives, Enrique Sanchez, Deora Mack. By the way, Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos. I have no patience for the defund the police crowd. It's so short-sighted. It's so catering to the lowest common denominator. I don't throw around the word hero freely like some people do. Those are heroic actions. That was, if they had not rescued him, there could have been every explanation of, hey, listen, the guy went off the road, the water was freezing, it was muddy, they couldn't find the car, and it's just a terrible tragedy. That easily could have played out that way. And it's interesting to me that he must have been going at a pretty good clip because he went like sailing. The car, I mentioned that when I was live with David on Saturday night, of just how far from, it wasn't like he was creeping and then the car went over the edge. That car was airborne. Hopefully the man will make it. It gives you an idea of just how deadly the situation is that man remains in critical condition. That is just fantastic by the Warwick police. And admittedly, as far as elected officials, you don't, Seth Magaziner, Congressman Magaziner, he was marching at the No Kings parade on Saturday. That crowd is anti-law enforcement. Gabe Amo, congressman, who I think is just, I still can't believe that guy is a congressman. I really can't. You talk about a seat that at one time was St. Germain, a seat that was held by Ron Makeley. Say what you want about Patrick Kennedy, and I was rough on him, but he could get things done. He had pull in Washington. And then Cicilline was there for years, and him not so much. But Gabe Amo is a new definition of lightweight. He doesn't belong there. He's not serving anyone. He's marching around on Saturday with people that want to defund the police. Sheldon Whitehouse, Seth Magaziner, Matos, McKee, all the anti-police rhetoric. Those Warwick police officers, there was no time. That is where the training comes in. That is remarkable. Now I'm really glad we went Saturday night. Now I'm very glad that we were first one on the scene for, I'm going to say, a good half hour. So, because also our Arnold Neck Road was blocked off, and I know those roads because of the Charlotte Lester case and also of all the coverage we did with LB with Ladybug. So, but really remarkable. So I just, just to finish out, some people, I'm not saying these people like they have a First Amendment right, meaning all these no one said they didn't. But I don't get the whole thing. Trump must go. He's not going anywhere. He is so not going anywhere. I don't know what they're talking about. We have to reform our election process. They've been stealing elections long enough. Notice the Rhode Island Secretary of State won't comply with the election integrity unit. They don't want to share voter rolls. They don't want to share anything. Gee, I wonder why that is. Just like somebody gets pulled over that doesn't want the police searching their vehicle. Folks, I want to remind you about J. Perry Paving. Call them today, 401-732-1730. Letter J, it's J. Perry Paving. High quality, fair pricing. Now is the time. Get a list before winter settles in. Get a free estimate for any project from J. Perry Paving, 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730. J. Perry Paving. High quality, fair pricing, exceptional service. You can depend on J. Perry Paving. 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730. And remember, no one has a better package for veterans than J. Perry Paving. Call 401-732-1730. Well, folks, again, good afternoon. Big news of the day, I think, is those 3 Warwick police officers. Again, we have the body cam footage up on the website, depetro.com. That was truly heroic. They dove into the water on Saturday night and rescued a 71-year-old man whose car went off the road. His car was submerged and swam and pulled him to safety. True heroism. And we're also going to monitor some kind of an incident at Foxwoods, where it's my understanding there's a male, female in the room. The female wanted to leave. Male said, you can't leave. He had a firearm. And thus, that's why there's, as they're saying, a hostage standoff. So we'll see how that's going to play out. If you're listening to the radio, stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news. Everybody stay dry on this Monday.